And I will start with Shristi Kolaksh, Kolakshyapati from Nepal, who is the senior program coordinator of WOREC, the Women Rehabilitation Center. She's got an extensive experience in working with women and human rights issues, and she's been with working with migrant women workers in Nepal for several years now. And let me start with you, Shristi, because your border that you have, I don't know how many borders are there like this in the world, kind of thing. It's the longest border. It's a very long border, and there's a treaty on this border and the treaty somewhere says that Nepalis and Indians can cross this border easily, kind of thing, and. But I know in some of your work there have been challenges with regard to this border, and there are people who have even asked to relook at the treaty, kind of thing, because the kind of movement does not allow protection, or at least challenges protection of migrant workers. I'd like to ask your thoughts then. This unregulated India-Nepal border, can you start by saying how long it is, kind of thing, in terms of kilometers or miles, whatever, and what are the challenges of an unregulated border, and what are and how does what are some of the problems or challenge or gaps that you find that you are beginning to notice along this border in terms of mobility of people? Shristi?
Hi, everyone, and thank you so much, William, for the invitation and the wonderful introduction about me. For my intervention, to your question, I would like to focus on Indo-Nepal border management, how it has been working. Since we know that Nepal is a landlocked country bordered by China and India, and Nepal shares about like 1,850-kilometer long open border with India, and it has like bilateral peace and friendship treaty signed between India and Nepal in 1950, and the citizen of both countries can travel and work freely across the border, meaning that they don't require any passport, visa, and work permit to work in India. And the India-Nepal migration corridor is still not in the foreign employment policies. Because of this, it lacks like proper data, regular data, that leads to shortage of social security coverage and vulnerable to various problems and exploitation, mostly workers working in the unorganized sectors. And I would also like to highlight some challenges here. Because of the unregulated border management system, there is a lack of documentation, which has led to unsafe working and living condition for migrants. And also there is no grievance handling mechanism where they can file their cases if human rights violation occurs to them. And we have seen this in COVID-19 pandemic, that we have seen huge discrimination against the Nepali workers in India. The Nepal government reintegration, repatriation and rescue plan has discriminated against those migrant workers working in India. And there are like we don't have the exact data till now, but like it has been estimated that thousands of Nepalese working in India workers are left stranded in the Nepal-India border for more than 50 days, and some had to swim across the river to come back to Nepal, risking their life. And there are like tens of thousands of Nepalese workers have returned home in this pandemic, but they have started again returning back to India because they couldn't find job opportunity in Nepal. And about talking about the irregular migration of women migrant workers caused by the restriction that we have been talking about, the restriction on women's mobility in Nepal. Because like most of the policies or programs that are like designed by the government of Nepal are dominated by the thoughts that women needs to be protected, they need to be taken care of, and they need to be controlled. And this has always denied like women's agency to take control over their decision regarding their lives, work, and mobility. And talking, for example, like their government of Nepal has initiated a series of conditional restriction on women's mobility to migrate to Gulf countries and Malaysia. For example, like there was restriction before 2010 that all women migrant workers couldn't travel to Gulf for low skilled work. And again, there was age limitation. And again, there was, I mean, the restriction was expanded to all ages of women, and then again it was like partially lifted, and currently the government of Nepal has relaxed the ban with the 7 idle condition. This is very progressive step from the government of Nepal. However, it is still impractical to achieve. So we have seen the number of women seeking foreign employment is increasing in the last decades. In 2016-17, like the number of labor permits issued to women increased by 8.8% between like 2015 and 17. Some about like 4,000 undocumented women migrant workers applied to regularize their status by obtaining formal permits. And this
Shristi,
restriction on, yeah, sorry.
Shristi, can I just come back to you on this border thing between India and Nepal? When you say unregulated border and its challenges, so from what I'm hearing, on the one hand, you are saying that there is this unregulated border, and then you're speaking of these women migrant workers kind of going, and over there, the Nepal state is trying to regulate very much, even trying to ban and things like that kind of thing. So on one side you have an open border where there is a flow of workers going to India, and you speak of it as problematic in terms of protection of workers' rights kind of thing, Nepali workers who go into India. On the other hand, you have a very regulated border to the point of your own government, the Nepal government regulating that, and there you have challenges also in the protection of the rights. So in terms of then this regulation at borders, on the one hand you have no regulation, on the other hand you have over regulation. So what would you propose in terms of, one, the India migration kind of border, India Nepal border? Can you say what are y'all thinking along those lines, because that seems to be very novel in the sense of an open border where people can cross to live, to work, to move freely, to travel kind of thing. Can you say something of, are you asking for regulation of that border?
Actually, Nepal has like Nepal-India border has it is open and it's free movement, but there is no tracking system of movements of migrants. You know, in the border point, like there is no border management information system. There is no data. Like if migrant workers they have like concerns, I mean, if they're their rights get violated, they don't have any grievance mechanism. So yeah, we are trying to regulate it. It's open, but there is no such policy that governs the open border, you know.
Okay.
That's the
I,
thing.
I will come back to you on that as to what is the proposition